Okay guys, we're running a little late today, but I've got a couple of things to set up and then we'll be on our way once again. Take it from there. I've just got to set up the stream with the correct tags and stuff, and then we'll be good to go. So give me 1 second, I'll get this done for you guys quickly, then we can move on. So that's that part done. Then what we're actually going to do is we're going to take a look at our new HUD, which is looking pretty good, and then we're going to hook up our temperature gauges and hopefully that'll look just as good. I'm going to just type a 2 mins in here and we shall be getting on. Right, I've got one more thing to do and then we shall be on our way. Just got to get these into the Discords and we shall be finished. Normally get this done, but we're running a little late today. But there we go. We are all set up, ready to go. So let's take a look at our new HUD, shall we? And there we go. We have our new HUD. Working fine. And our clock hand works, our other stuff works. If we just hang on a minute, you'll see it changing. Right. So we shall just hang on 1 second. And see it changing. Okay. There we go. Clock has gone. And there we go. Our 3 little indicators are going. But our temperature gauge is not at the moment. So we need to sort that out. So with that in mind, this is the code that's doing the clock, which is slightly different. And we're going to be going into our pawn again, where we need to do our temperature. Now it appears that our temperature is a little bit different. Right, draw compass, draw HUD. I'm going to go into draw HUD. Right, and our draw HUD isn't really working. Well, it is, but it isn't doing our temperature. So if we go to attributes, we can go to temperature. Right, now this is updating on its own. Right, so basically we are going to be grabbing some of this, but not all of it. Right? And this is going to be a copy. Okay. And then we're going to go back to here. We can delete all of these and paste that. Right, okay, so we're going to cancel that. We're going to go back to here. We're going to go back there. Right, we're going to paste that in. Then we're going to do our event construct. Paste that back in. We're going to do this one. Okay. Then we are going to grab this. We're going to copy this. Then we're going to paste that. Okay. We're going to save that. Oh, we need a ref char. Right, so we do ref char. That's BP Groenland pawn. Where's our pawn? It's BP pawn Groenland. Okay, whatever. Okay, so we're back to here. Right, we're getting our reference. We're setting this out. Okay, compile that, and there we go. Now the one thing I want to see here is whether or not this number is the right size. Okay. So the number should be between 0 and 1. Okay. Just going to do it every 5 seconds. And apparently we're getting 0. That's fine. That's fine. Apparently our air temperature is nothing. Right, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll take that off and resume. As you can see, this is nothing. Okay, so whatever it is, we're not getting the temperature. So what we're looking for is this BP Infinity post-process component. Which is on the character. Right? It's this thing here. And we've got air temperature here. Right, so it would appear to me that for whatever reason our pawn is not getting the right thing. Right, so if we go to our post-process component, you'll notice that our air temperature is -50. Right? Which means that it's kind of right. Okay, so what we actually need to do here is to give it a number, right, between -60 and that should give us something. Okay, so if we press play there, it's giving us nothing. Okay. So hang on a second here. I'm going to stop this. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to grab this, control copy it, and I think, right, if we look at this PB, go to designer, PB temperature. Let's see how this is set up. So it does say bottom to top. Right now, I'm not 100% sure if we're clamping this or not, but we're not doing anything weird, so it's basically 0.5, right? So what I'm saying is, if I undo that, right, and then basically say 0.5, we should be halfway up the graph. Right? So we can take a look at this. And there we go. Okay. So that's right. It's this part here that's not right. Okay. Now I don't know why this part isn't working right, But what we'll do is, if we go into the pawn, right, and we probably need to go to this one. Yep. And then if we go to our event tick, we can delete that. We can paste that. We can delete that, and bring in our post-process component, then drag that in, and then paste that. This should tell us hi Payush Works. Well, thank you. We're hoping the next one will be even better. We're working on it. I'm working on the HUD here, which has been updated. And I'm just trying to get the temperature gauges working. Right, so that's minus 50, which is exactly what we want, right? So that's okay, right? So the next thing is, we know this is right, so we can basically go off of there. We can go back to our thermometers. Now, what we think is we're getting nothing here, which means this reference character is not getting set properly. So we're going to do it from here, and we are also going to do a print string in here. That's right, so we're going to do a print string, and I want this air temperature. Right, now this is only running every 5 seconds, so what I'll do is I'll stick this up to 5 as well. So we've got a constant display of the temperature. Do that, do that. Let's have a look. There's two of us. I'm the programmer and Viking is my designer, level designer and general all-round design ready person, doing animations and stuff like that. Right, so we've got ref car, got our pawn, set our pawn, step over, so that has done it. So we've got our pawn, step over, and now we can just run at this point. And we get minus 50. And that's just going to basically be minus 50. Right? So that is correct. Yeah, that's why two mad monkeys, yep. Because there's two of us and we're mad. And we're monkeys. Kinda. Right, so what we want to do now is put this in here, but we're going to make it for 10 seconds so that we actually get a list of numbers. Right. So we're going to press play. So bring up our HUD, 0.125. Right, so that should work. that's interesting. Right, tell you what we're going to do. We're going to delete that. We're going to delete that. We're going to delete these. We're going to go PB outside. And we're going to say set percent. Right, and then we're going to drag this in here. That's going to go there. And that's going to go there. We're going to save that. And this should work. I don't know if it just got freaked out when I basically cut and pasted these in. Maybe it just got freaked out. Right. Okay. Disable that. And that's all good. That's not good. Well, that's weird. That is bizarre. Right, have I done something incredibly stupid here? PB outside. In percent. Designer. Right. That's the canvas panel. So outside, do 0.5. That's 0.85. 0.125. Wow. That's interesting. I'm just wondering if right, okay. That's weird. It's not weird. It's not weird at all. Ah, damn it. Right, I'm going to tell you why this is. Okay, here's the problem. Here is the problem. Right, let's have a look and I'll show you what the issue is here. Okay. If we look at the images, right, and this is the outside temperature, right? Our issue is that we have padding at the bottom. So this is the first 0.2 of the gradient, right? And this is the top, and there's this padding here, right? So fundamentally, oof. Okay? Fundamentally, oof. Because we don't want padding. Because we want this to be 1. And we want this to be 0. Right? But unfortunately, this is 0. And this is 1. Okay? Now, either A, we recalculate it, and I don't think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got 6 full, about 6.5. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there isn't even it's not even equal, so I could do a well, I could still do a calculation, right? But this is going to end up being a mess. Right? So what I'm going to do to fix this issue is we're going to go back in here. We're going to open this. Open with paint.net. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to basically make it as close as possible. And this is where it gets hard, because my mouse is a bit temperamental. Right? And all we need, well, we need that image as well. Is that. Okay. So we basically copy that. We do file new. We OK that. We paste that. And then we file save as. We do this one. Save. We replace it. Okay. Then we re-import this. I know it's a lot of flapping around, but I'm afraid it has to be done. Now we probably need to we need to basically move that back to where it needs to be. Okay. So what I'm going to do is we stop that, and then we're going to move it to the right position again, because obviously it's not using the same points. Unfortunately, don't know what this is. That's the core, that's that one. Yeah, I think what we did here... no, we didn't. That's a box, that's an image. That's a box, that's an image. Ah, we need to change this to the sizes that it actually is. Like, because we've changed the actual size of this. 78, 732. 78. 732. And this is not quite right. What we really want is a centre. Some of the story's done. We've got a general idea. Right, so we need to do that. Or maybe we don't. 732. And then we need to move this. And we'll zoom in a bit and make this bigger so we can see it. We're going to need to do the same with the red one probably. It needs to go probably up a bit. Alright. This doesn't quite look right. But we'll give it the benefit of the doubt for now. Right, now what we're going to have to look at now is this one to make sure that everything's still in line, which it's freaking well not. So, something not right here. Okay. So, we're going to have to open. It's kind of all three. It's survival with exploration and thrills as well. Because I always said it was like a thriller survivor. Thriller survival. Now, I'm beginning to wish I hadn't done this. And that we basically clamped this. Like this one here. Right, I'm going to put this back, right? Because I'm not 100% sure. I'll maybe work on this later, but in the meantime we'll get it working. Right, so what we're going to have to do is basically re-import this again. Right. And I believe it was this, wasn't it? With the anchors reset. Right. Now, the thing we can do here is with our thermometers, right, is if our minimum is -50, then we can basically bump this to -70, and let's set that to 35, right, and this should kind of offset it a bit, but kind of not. We'll dismiss all these. I'm going to fix that in a minute. Right, I want to get this kind of working. Right, so we've got a little bit. So what we should do is actually put this to minus, let's say, 80. Yep, that's better. Okay, and that gets us a nice temperature there. So now what we can do is we can go and grab this, then light this, and we can check on our temperature. And there it goes up and up, and there we go. Right, then we can pull this one down to, let's say, -30 to normal 30, and leave it there. Now what we're going to have to do is the same with the core temperature, right? And so you've got an outside temperature and you've got a core temperature of your body, right? But the problem is, well, it's not a problem, but it's, for gameplay purposes, it's a bit weird, and that is that the core temperature of the body only ever changes. And somebody's outside making squeaky noises. That is bloody annoying. Hi, Anotoplex RO, how are you today? Right, so your body's core temperature only changes about 3 to 4 degrees, right, in real life. I did have a check on that, right, so it's about 96 to about 99.6 degrees is like your core normal temperature. So, in effect, if we go to here and have a look at this, the core temperature one, it's a matter of how do we handle that, right? So, what I mean by that is, if we pick up our log and we start a fire, right, our core temperature would go up, but we're going to have to have a minimum and a maximum. Right, but you can see there that our temperature goes down. And a bit closer, up a bit, up a bit. So you can see that our outside temperature, and you know what, it's not really an outside temperature, it's more like an affected temperature. Like if I walk away, that's the temperature that I feel right now. Right? It's the actual outside temperature is the outside temperature, it's just whether or not it's affected. Right, but you can see the temperature gauge dropping down. Now, what we could do, if we want, is we can make this update a bit faster for you guys, and then you can actually see it. Practice. Just practice. There's no... I get asked this quite a lot, right? And people think that there's some kind of special magic answer. That, you know, I read this particular book, or I watched this particular tutorial, but no, I didn't. You just learn basic stuff. Now, it does help if you've got a programming background, right? Because you kind of understand basically how blueprints work, right? And really all you're doing is finding out how to program your blueprints and specific blueprints for certain Unreal Engine objects, right? That's the hard part, right? The programming part is just programming, right? Basically, all blueprints are a visual wrapper for normal programming. You know, your loops, your arrays, your conditions, blah, blah, blah. Those are all in every single language. Whether it be C++, C#, Java, Visual Basic, pick a language, they're all in there, right? And all blueprints are a visual wrapper for you know, your standard programming tasks. Like, as I said, arrays, loops, conditional things, all of that stuff. The only thing you really need to learn is specific blueprints or nodes, blueprint nodes for Unreal Engine items. like what cast does, right? What interfaces do, how to use an interface, how to use event dispatchers, how to use a timeline, right? But otherwise, it's just practice, you know, doing stuff. Do stuff. That's the best way to learn. Do stuff, right? That's the way I did it. I picked what I tell this story to everybody as well. Just pick a game from your childhood, right? A very simple game, right? And then the first thing to do is to reproduce the menu, beat for beat, if you can, or as close as you possibly can. And the reason for doing that is widgets are used within your main game, and you will learn the logic of how to do stuff that not only is useful in widgets, but you'll be using stuff that's useful in your game as well, right? Now, the beauty of doing a menu is, if you do a fully operational menu, then you'll only ever need to do it once, because all menus do the same thing. You know, they've all got the same options, they've all got the same save game, continue, load, you know, all of that. So if you do a complete menu, fully functional, then you'll only ever need to do it once. And then you'll be able to copy paste, etc. And there's a child outside screaming her head off, which is awesome, right? So once you've done that, you'll have a better idea when you move into your game of how to do your HUD and how to do basic things in the game, because you'll already have done it in the menu. Like your begin play, which can be basically construed as event construct in your widgets. You'll be able to use interfaces, you'll be setting up arrays, all of that stuff. So yeah, as I said, pick a simple game, recreate the menu beat for beat, and then take that knowledge to then go in and create the game. Okay, now if you're enjoying the content, hit like and subscribe. I'm going to go and grab a cigarette, then we're going to come back and we're going to do the core temperature one, but we're not actually going to do anything with that, right, because we don't have those variables set up yet, but we'll get it ready for doing stuff. So in the meantime, hit like and subscribe, it's appreciated, and check out the description for links to the game's Discord and to my personal Discord, also my Patreon, my previous game on Steam, and our website. And I shall be back in a couple of minutes, guys, so don't go anywhere. Okay guys, we're back. Right. So, the final thing here is in update temperature, we're basically going to get a value for PV core. And we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to get this. We don't know what this is going to be, so I'm just basically going to say set percent. Right, now, funnily enough, I have set this up. This was something that I considered quite some time ago, and my colleague was a bit skeptical, right? But I always found that there was no point in having an outside temperature if you didn't have a core temperature for your body, right? So I had already set up in the main attributes, right? So if I say main attributes over character, right? Now we can update these core temperatures later, but we can just grab this, then break it, right? And click core temperature, right? And grab that, put it there. Then we can basically hide unconnected pins. Okay. And that's going to give us our core temperature. Okay. Now in our pawn, if we go to, well, I don't know why I do that. I do that all the time, by the way, guys. If we go to our pawn, I've done it again, not thinking straight. Right, go to your pawn. Right, and we come down. It's kind of full time, kind of part time. I work on this pretty full time because I don't have a job. Because the place in the world that I live doesn't really have any jobs that I can do. Because my experience, etc., is rather niche, shall we say. I do a lot of data migration, and well, what I did was data migration and the likes of MRP reporting from various databases and stuff, and general all-round kind of problem solver. Right, so if we set our core temperature, right, and if we make this between, let's say it's 97, right, or let's say 98, right, because remember you go from 96 to about 99.6, right, and I'll set the default to 98, right. So in effect, in our thermometers, I'm from Scotland, right, and what we could do here is put 96 to 100, right, and then if we pop that in there, this should be at 50%, okay. Now as I said, we're not updating the core temperature, but this means that we don't need to do, this widget is set to go, right, as long as our core temperature is between 96 and 98. Now what I could do is I could go into the main attributes and update this structure to have like a min max, right? And then we could actually set these to the min and the max, and that would do it on the fly, right? And it would do it dynamically. We could also do the same for this, right? But in theory now, oh yeah, and I set this to 2 seconds, right? Now we could set it to 1 second, right? And what we would probably want to do is put a retainer around the whole thing, right? Which is this here. What we'd probably want to do here is put a retainer around this and go only get it to update a certain amount of times per second, right? But that's a tutorial for another day. Okay. But now, this should all work, in theory. Okay. So you'll notice there that our temperature, core temperature, is about 50%, right? And now you'll see the temperature's going up and down a lot faster. The core temperature is not going to move, remember, right? Because we're not linked that up to anything yet. I don't live in Scotland though, right? So you'll see my temperature going up, and then you'll see it coming down as I move away from the fire. Okay, move a bit further, goes down again, move a bit closer, starts going up again, down again, even further, and closer again. Okay. And there we go. Oh, why is our core temperature not at 50%? That's weird. Has our core temperature been updated? I should have put a breakpoint in there to check that out actually, to see what happened. Right, but what we're going to do is go back to our pawn, and this code here is not working, right? And that's what's causing the error. So we're going to do that and compile it, and then we're going to rewrite that code in a different way, right? So we shouldn't get an error this time. Right, you can see our clock moves. Now if we wait for about a minute, you'll see the clock actually move. It moves per hour, okay? There's not any real reason that I can see to move it, make it any more accurate than that. So basically what I'm doing is I'm updating the clock on the hour. Okay? Where are you from, Payush Works? So we can light this. And she's going to light it. Interestingly, this effect does not give off light, even though it should. India. Okay. Right, you'll notice that our core temperatures went down. Right, so there must be something updating the core temperature. Now the interesting thing here is we might need to do a dynamic material on this. And then make it white, because basically blue doesn't really tell us anything on its own. Right, whether we're at a good temperature, a bad temperature, or an indifferent temperature, all it's doing is basically giving us a graph. Right, which is all well and good, that's all working, but I would believe we need some sort of a dynamic colour, like red to green to blue. Right. So let's do that actually. Let's work on that for a second or two, since we can. Right. So this is our outside temperature thing. Right. Now what we want to do is get our magic thing. Right. Grab about 17%. Right. And we probably need that. Right. And we probably need it to be white. So do that, then do that. Okay, we're gonna have to select that again. Right. And now we're going to have to zoom in. If I press the buttons for this, that's not going to be a good idea. Zoom in. Right, zoom in. Zoom in. Right, you'll notice that there's some weird stuff going on here. So we're going to have to do this. Then we're going to have to do that. And you'll notice that it's not really selecting everything there. Until we click on that. Right, now it appears that that isn't doing everything we want. right? And we may need to do that. Right, that's not awfully good. We'll zoom in again. And it's getting to the point now where I'd possibly be better just doing this by right, way up to that, undo that, undo that. Right, so now we're getting to the point where we probably just kind of do this. Right, and do that, and that, and that, and that, and that. Then this is going to be horrific. I mean, we can do this with dynamic material, or we could do it with a with just doing the tint on it, like just basically doing a check in what numbers we get, and if it's greater than that we do that, and if it's greater than that we do that, etc, etc. But what I'm trying to do here is get us a baseline, because we need it to be white. Or do we? Yeah, it's better to be white, because then we can just add the tint. Right? So we'll just go around this. And this is basically what you've got to do sometimes, guys. There's just no getting away from it. Mucking around with assets, making your own, doing images, doing models, tweaking them to get them to work exactly how you want them to can be time consuming. That's just the way it is, I'm afraid. Right. And when you screw up, you better be ready with a Control Z. We'll get there. I'm not very good on this anyway, like paint programs and stuff, so there's probably much better, easier, faster ways of doing this. So I'm just basically doing it in a way that I know is going to work, even though it's not probably very efficient or very quick or whatever. Right, I could like do this with a pencil. And there are times when you do start this and wish you hadn't, and went, oh god, sod it, I'll just leave it the way it is. But normally, when you do all this, it does end up looking better in the end, so nah. You take it for what it is. Yeah, Control Z is got to have your finger on it. I've got my 2 fingers ready to go for when I screw up, which I will, again. Guaranteed. I've got a tablet as well that I could do this with, but even that, I don't think it would be any faster. Well, probably would be, because I could probably just see this here. This isn't quite right. Okay, I'm going to do something about that as well, or at least I'm going to try. As I said, I'm not by any stretch of the imagination some kind of a Photoshop or paint programming guy. Right, I'm pretty darn average at best. In fact, I couldn't even say I was average. I'm pretty much novice. Right? But we'll try and make things happen. Right, so yeah. I mean, that actually will probably do, right? Because this is going in behind something else, and that should actually clean it up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save this as outside temp, right? And I'm going to say white. Okay, and we'll bring it in as a different one, right? Because we can always go back to where we were, right? We can always go back to our ordinary version, right? Now we're going to open this up, change it to user interface, save it. Now, as I said, this being a bit bigger actually doesn't make any difference to us. In fact, wait a minute, does it? It probably does. It probably does. Now, the way we could get around that is to change this one. Right? And I'll show you what I mean by that. Right, what we'd actually have to do is open this one. Right? And what we'd have to do in this case is delete this, and this, and this. And then basically why don't I make a curved line? Because I'm rubbish. I told you I'm absolutely useless at paint programs and stuff. So it's not entirely the best of ideas for you to try and get me to do something like that, because it'll probably end up in tears. Right, because what you really need to do, right, in this case, is you would need to create 3 layers of this, right? Now we could do that, and then each of the layers you'd have to split them out after that, right? And you'd have to put the layers exactly here and exactly here, and remove this and this, and then basically do it that way. Right? What we're actually trying to do is do the opposite of this. Lambros Mill, welcome back. How do I add a motion blur? Pretty simple, really. What you do is you go to your pawn, then you go to your camera, and then no worries. Ms. Abdulak, you're welcome. And it's might be in here. Image effects. No, there's definitely just a motion blur in this, right, that you can do. There, it's there, motion blur. Right? So you can set up your motion blur in your it's not in that one. Is it in film? No, it's rendering features, right? So you just open this one and then you can set up your motion blur, put object size, target FPS, the amount, etc. Okay, that's how you do it in your camera. So shall we test it, guys? Right, let's have a look at it. We're not going to set it for now. Right, and that's what we've got at the moment. Right, now this has got a slight camera effect on it, that when we move our thing it does an extra kind of motion blurry thing, but we're not looking at that at the moment. What we'll do is we'll look at amount, right, and we'll say 4, then we'll just leave everything else. Right, then we'll press play. And it is there, you can see it off that log, but it's quite subtle. Right? It is subtle, but you can see it. If we bang it up to, let's say, the maximum, I don't know what it's going to give us, but we'll see. It only has it set to 1, so let's put it on 5. Okay, apparently it won't let me set it. Right, we'll just do that. And let's see the effect, shall we? I don't know what the effect is, but it might be better if you do it in a lit situation. I think it's there, right? It is there, but it's just not a lot. Maybe it's if you move it fast. Yeah, you can see it there if you move it fast, right? But yeah, a lot of the things that you do with your camera, you can do it within the camera. A lot of the things like effects and stuff, like somebody asked me how to make it a black and white camera, and it's all in the camera, right, that you can set it up. I think it was in I can't remember what it was. It was like in temperature, or was it miscellaneous or something? But you could set the colour gradients, like it was in here, I believe. Can't remember. That's this camera speed. But yeah, you could set lots of stuff in your camera that affects your stuff. Like your translucency as well. You can make things translucent and stuff. But yeah, you'd have to go in here and have a play about yourself and find out which thing it is that you want to actually do. Like, it's in here as well that you'll set up your POV and stuff like that, right? these errors should have now gone, right? So if we bring up this, right, that's all looking good. I can't yeah, you'll notice now we've got no errors, right? Now what are these? I believe, yeah, we want to delete these, right? And the next thing we want to do is save this and go back to the whole point of what we were doing with this the other day, which was showing you guys me putting a bajillion static meshes on the map and then basically getting rid of them and creating hierarchical instanced static meshes. Okay, so if we go to here and we go to snowy rocks, right, and we'll just drop any old rocks in here for now. Right, so we've got 3 rocks. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to select those 3 rocks and we're going to create another 3 rocks. Right, and we're going to rotate these to make us a nice thing. And then we're going to do that, then we're going to duplicate it. Right, and that's going to give us a row of rocks. Okay. And then we're going to select all those rocks and we're going to duplicate again. We're going to duplicate again. We're going to duplicate again. Then we're going to type snow, and this is just going to give us all of our snowy rocks. 48 of them. Selecting all of them. Then we're going to duplicate them. And that's going to give us another field. We're going to duplicate them. That's going to give us, we're going to undo that and drag them in. Then we're going to duplicate them. Drag them to here. Okay. So we've got a whole field of rocks here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to switch on FPS. We're going to select all of our rocks. We've got a lot of them. 192. Then we're going to duplicate them. Okay, Piyush. Nice speaking to you. I'm sure, well, hopefully we'll see you again. Right, so we're going to do that. Then we're going to duplicate that. We're going to rotate them. We'll put them there. We'll duplicate them. We'll put them there. Hey, hi Hilda. We'll duplicate them. We'll put them there. Now you'll notice what our FPS is now. Right? We're going to duplicate them. Put them there. We're going to duplicate them. And we're going to come to the other side of the map. We're going to duplicate them again. Put them there. Right, we'll undo that. Undo that. We'll move them there. We'll duplicate them again. Then we'll spin them round. Then we'll move them here. We'll duplicate them again. Drag them to there. Duplicate them again. Drag them to here. And again. And there. Okay, so now we have 2,304 rocks. Okay, and we want to go to our level blueprint. And it's empty, which is fine. But what we want to do is we want to add a variable called count. And it's going to be a float. No, it's not. It's going to be an integer. We're going to save that. And this is where the fun starts. Because we're going to go into our main BPs. We're going to grab open HISM. We're going to grab this. We're going to copy it. And then we're going to put it into our test map. And then we're going to do some testing. Okay, this is going to get changed to mesh replace. We're going to save that. And this is where the magic happens. Right, because if we press play, not right now I can't, Lambros, but if you go into join my personal Discord, link in the chat, then there's a possibility. What we're going to do now is we're going to run this and we're going to check our okay, give me a second, I'll show you. Right, you'll notice we have 30 frames a second. We're getting a bit of glitching. Okay, and this is with the standard way of doing it, right? Just plonking down. I'll show you in a second. Hi, Kratz back. How you doing? I'll show you in a second, Lambros. Okay. Right. So we're getting 34 to 40. Okay, and notice. Right. Wait a minute. Let's start that again. After this demonstration hopefully shows you something, I'll be able to sort out Lambros's issue. Right, so as you can see, we're getting down to 31s. Right, not good. And on the right hand side, yes, it is going to be a survival game. I'm classing it as a survival slash horror slash thriller. No, I'm going to rephrase that. I'm going to class it as survival exploration slash thriller. Right? So, our next thing is, you've seen on the left that these were all still in the outliner, okay? Which means they were all singular static meshes. Now, if I do this, that changes. They become hierarchical instance static meshes. Okay, so you'll see them all there. And now they've all disappeared, but they're all still there. Notice now we have a better frame rate, even though I don't think this is the issue, this still gives us a better frame rate and a steadier frame rate, okay? It's not dropping down to 31s and 32s and stuff, and it's never given us like a problem with jerkiness, right? And you'll notice we now have no static meshes. We replaced 2300. Okay, these are now instanced static meshes, and I could literally put thousands and thousands in there, okay? Okay, now for Lambros's problem. Right. Let's make an image. And then let's take out the white. Right. So say, for example, I was to say new, then let's say 256 by 256. Okay, that. Right. And then let's say I was going to draw a circle. Okay, so I'm going to go circle, and I'm going to say draw filled shape, right? And we're going to go with black, right? And I basically go 1 1. And then drag this out, right, and my mouse gets stuck, which is a bummer. Right, so we'll go back to 1.1. Right, bear with me, this is quite technical. And we go 256 by 256. Right? Now, just for the sake of being able to show you this, right? What I'm going to do is do that. Okay? Now, I hope you're watching, Lambros. Imagine that's your blood splatter, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save as, and I'm going to say round. Actually, I'm going to say, I'm going to use this, right? This is the reason I'm doing it. I'm going to say fill radius, okay? And I'm going to say save. Okay? Now, I'm going to go back to here, then I'm going to select the widgets, and I'm going to go, and I'm going to say attributes, then images, right? And then I'm going to drag it in, right? Now, here's the thing. If I open that, you'll notice it looks like that, and it's still got a white background, okay? Okay? So, if we create a widget, I'm going to create a widget. Widget. So we'll call it widget Lambros. Okay. And what we'll do is we'll bring in an image into our canvas, right? And we'll say fill up the whole thing. Delete that. Actually set that to 0, what we're talking about, right? And then we drag in our image. Well, boo-hoo, we've still got our white. Okay, so what do we do? Say this is your blood splatter, right? What we do is we open the source location, right? Then we open this with our Photoshop or whatever it is we're going to do, right? Then what we do is we get our selection tool and we select the outside only, and then we delete, right? And then we save. Okay? Then what we do is we re-import this, and look at that, it's changed. We've no longer got the edges or the white. Okay? And you'll see when we open this, it's no longer got the white. And that's how you do it. Okay? So you need to go into your blood splatter, select all the white and delete it all out so that it's basically transparent. Okay? And that's how you do it. Okay? Hopefully that answers your question. Now, what I want to do is open that, then edit it again, and in my case I actually don't want this. Right? I want it to be white. No worries, Lambros, easy enough. Easy enough to do, easy enough to teach. It's all good. What I want to actually do here is I want to undo this. Because this circle isn't quite right, believe it or not. Right? What I actually want is for this to go from one. It's done it again, my mouse sticks on the bloody mouse mat. Right, it even actually managed to rotate there as well. What I want to do is do it from 1 to 255. Right? Because I want 1 pixel of a difference. There we go. Right? And then I want to do the magic wand thing. Delete that. You'll notice that we've got 1 pixel up at the top, at the side, at the bottom here. And then we colour it white. Now, it's a good idea for you guys to colour things white, right? Because then you can tint them. Okay, if you've got a health bar that's green, right, ETA first quarter 2024, if we get the Kickstarter and stuff, right, and we turn that white. Okay, now you can either use the tint on your widget thing, your colour and opacity, or you can use a dynamic material, right? And you've got a nice flat thing, white, that you can do to your heart's content, okay? If you colour this, if you try to tint it, right, it's going to interfere with the colour when you tint it, okay? But if you make your icons white, then you can tint them how you like. If I add red to this, this becomes red. If I add blue to it, it becomes blue, right? If you've got a red icon and you tint it blue, it's going to become purple, which is not what you want, right? So try to make your icons white so that you can then do the colours however you want. So I'm going to save as, and I'm going to save it as fill radius, and I'm going to use this. I'll show you where I'm going to use it, right, as an example. And where was I? Right, I've done that. Right, okay. So now what I do is I re-import this. We get a white one. That's looking brilliant. That's just what we want. And our next thing is, if we go to our attributes, right, these things here, hunger, let's have a look at it. If we look at water, right? Now, the way that's made is this is made from this material here, right? And it doesn't come in enough, right? It's behind this, but what happens is it doesn't fill in everything. So it's this line is not thick enough, right? So if we actually go to here and open up our ring, right, you'll notice that this image that it uses is just this edge. So the idea here for my fill radius was to actually use the fill radius one for this. But you'll notice that it's white, but then we turn it to green. Okay, so, but the actual texture is white. Okay, so what we can do is we can go back to our images and we can now drag this into here. Okay, and then we can delete our Lambros widget. Hopefully Lambros now knows what to do. I think he does. Lambros, do you know what to do now? There are other ways of doing it, right? You can do it in a material, but it's not ideal, right? Put it that way. If you've got like white, black, white, where you don't want the inside to change, then the material's not going to be for you, right? What you've got to do is do it with the actual PNG that you're using, or the Targa, or whichever file format that you're using, right? But at the end of the day, the best way to do it is with transparency on the actual image itself. Okay, now in this case, what I'm also going to do here is I'm going to create another instance of this, right? Because I want, just in case I want it to just have this edge, I want this material available, but I also want it with the other version of the material. Now what I could do is make this a parameter where you either have the edge or the fill. That would be possible as well. Okay. But for our purposes, we'll probably just do that. And I think on that one, guys, I think I'm going, you hopefully understand what I'm going to do. I'm just going to copy this material and use that other texture that fills to the center instead of just filling this ring, okay? And I shall be back in 4 hours time at 8 PM Central. So hopefully I shall see a couple of you there. It's always good to see people coming back and interacting. So if you've enjoyed the stream, guys, hit like, subscribe, it helps me a lot. And check out the description for links to both my